what is your part you're not doing? Why don't you write that down, everybody? Like, what's your part that you're not stepping into? Boom! And welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Super excited to have all of you here with us tonight. Be sure to turn your cameras on, please. This way we can see you, you can see us, unless you're like naked or something, then like leave it off. But otherwise, join us. Send me a little message in the chat bar. Where are you logging in from? Where are you coming in from today? Middletown, New Jersey, of course, Ryan, right around the corner. Nice to see you, Ellie, Ella, and hey, Justin, Alyssa, so many great people on here tonight. We got my beautiful wife in the house. Jennifer is here. She's going to go through things with us. We got Aaron in here, and probably somewhere in here might even be my son. So let's have a great time. I'm going to share my screen. You should have a notepad and a pen. So nice to see some couples together here. It's a great way to grow together. And my wife and I are going to share a whole bunch of stuff with you so that maybe you have a slightly different perspective on growing a relationship and also growing a business. And how many of you are business owners? Type in owners in the chat bar. Like, how many of you are owners? All right. And if you're not an owner, how many of you are like executives, or, you know, maybe you run somebody's company, or maybe you're an employee or a team member? Tell me that too. My husband wouldn't do this, I know, without even asking him. Okay. All right, let's dig in, everybody. Let's dig in. And those of you, we'll keep reminding you to turn your cameras on. Jim, what's happening? Nice to see you. Here we go. Boom. So today is all about superhuman relationships. And my wife and I know a little bit about relationships and a little bit about navigating the waters of relationships. And maybe you'll tell us in the chat bar, like, how long have you been in your relationship? And also, since I want you guys to feel really safe here, okay? Really safe. And like, if you're in a relationship, unless they're sitting right next to you, like if it's turbulent right now, like feel free to be like, hey, it's turbulent. If you came here to just brag, you probably didn't show up to improve. And my wife and I were literally just improving things yesterday in our relationship. And we're together since we're 15. And I'm level 52, right? So you could do the math there. That's a fair amount of timeline to be together. And I want to make sure I'm talking with you and not at you. So the more feedback you give me here, I'm honored you're here with the subject of relationships, because so many people will stay, they will be in this delusion of a relationship where there's so many unspoken things. And I know this. How many of you are from a divorced family? Type in divorce in the chat bar. Has anybody had the gift of experience that? That's like super fun, isn't it? Let's see how many people. Okay, divorce. I'll throw myself in there, right? Divorce. So now this has become a role model for a lot of people there. And then you might be one of those that you're here because, one, you know, you do not want to go that route, or two, maybe you've been divorced and you're like, hey, I want to learn some things. I want to learn things. So this is superhuman relationships here. And this is for people regardless of your current relationship status. Like, I wish that what we're going to go through, like, they should put it in the school program as far as I'm concerned, so that we can stop what's going on. And I think, I don't know the exact stats, but probably about, let me see, we did in-person relationship events probably 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And back then the statistic was almost 50% divorce rate, 50. what do you guys think the divorce rate is up to now, or the separation or the argument rate after the pandemic now? What do you think? Yeah, Tony, I think you're correct. I think it's 65, 75. I mean, it's in a place that's not well. And I don't think it has to be that way. And I'm not one telling you that, hey, some people just maybe have outgrown each other. But write this down. Write this down. If you're not growing together, you're growing apart. I am so firm on this, and I'm going to ask my wife the same question in a minute, because like we experienced it ourselves. All right. So I want to let you know, I know there's a lot of gurus out there. There's a lot of people teaching relationship stuff. A lot of people telling you to go on date night and date your wife. Like, I don't want to date my wife, everybody. When we were dating, we weren't committed, right? I want a relationship, my wife, right? I want to be in a connection with my wife. I don't want to date her. And there's a lot of information out there for people that I feel maybe they shouldn't be teaching this type of stuff. Jen, do you want to share anything, kick us off here before I read the rest of these?
No, I agree with you on that. It's a shame.
Yeah. And with the growing, I mean, we experienced this because we were at a point, it's well over a decade now, where we were at wit's end with each other. And we went to an event, and during that event, and maybe you'll come to, and as you come to realizations, I want you to type them in the chat bar. We came to a realization that one, Jennifer was managing a whole lot of the family stuff, right? She was dealing with a lot of the kids' things, and she was dealing with making sure that they can go to their, dance and events and stuff. And then I kept going to all these trainings, right? So I was going to seminars and webinars. Now you guys do the math. If one part of the relationship is going to a lot of trainings and the other part of the relationship is doing something completely different that's not helping them expand together, tell me in the chat bar, what's the outcome of this? What's going to happen with this, everybody? It's not going to work. And then people tell me this, they say, oh, my wife, she's not into those things. That's what they would tell me. Or they would say, my husband is not into those things. And I go, eventually you're going to be into it. Eventually they'll have to be into it, because while they're sitting there going, you're doing your own thing, have you ever felt the tug of war on one side of the relationship or the other, where the one side is telling you, well, don't be so happy. Has anybody ever told you that? Don't be so positive. Oh, I know. Look at the brighter side of things. Did anybody ever try to hook you in and kind of pull you down a little bit? And that's what happens a lot of times in a relationship that's growing, but the other person is not, and they may not know how to explain it. So this is also, you're in a relationship, and maybe you're here with a relationship, which I'm excited about. And maybe you're here and they're not here. And I'll show you how you could get the replay. Maybe you'll want to watch it together. Or you're in a relationship, but you don't call it, like, maybe use the word spouse or partner. I don't care what the relationship is. And you're going to find out that this information could be applied to any relationships. Or maybe you're not in a relationship and you're saying to yourself, hey, like, let me see, like, I want to know how to navigate this in a healthier, more confident way, where you know that the relationship's going to grow over time. Now, I will give you a little disclaimer, right? Like, we're not giving legal, financial. This is not this is not marriage counseling. Even though my wife and I did try a round of that, and that was interesting. What happened there? I would say that, not that they're all like this, I would just tell you our experience was more damaging, I would say, than beneficial. Has anybody ever experienced that, or was it just me and Jen that did this? And Jen, did you think the same way? Like, it wasn't moving us forward?
No, doesn't.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Is you think that What do you think their motive was? Because they kept seeing us in separate rooms at one time. And like, I felt like it was almost conflicting versus supporting.
What do you mean specifically?
When we were going to the counseling, like I felt like they would have a meeting with you, a meeting with me, and then sometimes we were together. We left. We were no further. We were no closer. We were further apart.
Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of therapists that, they don't want you to fix things or improve things because then you're no longer a client of theirs.
Yeah.
And we had terrible experience with the marriage counseling, and we talked about the word divorce, and I don't believe she led us at all in the direction of to avoid that. I believe she led us in the direction to make it worse.
Yeah. And are you guys, tell me in the chat bar, like, is it okay if we open the kimono a little bit? Do you know what that means? Like, we're going to be real with you. We're not going to hide anything. We're going to share it. Now, look, I'm sure there are some that are really, really good, that do a good job.
Yes, they're not all that way.
But they have to be willing. I think when, just so you guys know, if anybody, and tell me in the chat bar, have any of you said, let's go to counseling, and one side or the other said no? Like I thought I saw somebody say that in a chat bar. I want you to understand why one person wants to go and one person doesn't. Both sides are worried that someone's going to get pushed into you're right and you're wrong. I will tell you that both of you are right and both of you are wrong, right? There's going to be rights in the things and wrongs. And if you're going there to say, told you so, that shit's going to fall apart really, really quick. So if you think you're going to want the replay from this, type replay in the chat bar, and then I'm going to, I'll tell you how to get the replay. And just so you guys know, like, this is one of those subjects. I'm so honored you guys are here. No one ever wants to touch this subject, right? No one wants to show up here because it's like, oh, if I'm there, people will think I'm broken. Well, I guess it's better to suffer in silence. Like, I don't understand that. So many people are like, oh, I don't want people to know my business. Why? You think they actually care that much about your business? Right? You have to be willing to get out of your own way to benefit and help get yourself to where you want to go in a relationship. Here's how you could easily get the replay. We'll put it in there for 72 hours. If you're not in this Facebook group already, just take your phone out, hit the QR code. It will take you there. Probably a couple quick questions. Do it right now. If you're already in that Facebook group, then don't worry about it. We upload the replay. We leave it for 72 hours. If someone takes longer than 72 hours, they're not even serious about probably improving this part of their life. And the links are also in the chat bar, everyone. The links are in the chat bar. Okay. This is more just for me to see, because I do believe with relationships that this book, this is my latest book out. It's called Mind Power. If you read Mind Power, put power in the chat bar. And if you didn't get it or read it, can you put a question mark so I know? Because I know we might have some new people that have not been in my world. So if you didn't read it, just the link will go in the chat bar. Okay, so Miranda and wow, the names are going quick. Christine. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put the link in the chat bar. It's free. Like, click it. Now, if you want to buy it, I think you pay shipping for it. But like, the results from this book already, like, we've been sending it out to even shelters and different things. And we have people. Can anybody relate or ever had family or understand a lot of things that are going on with addiction? Like, there's a lot of really heavy stuff, and especially with vets and stuff. And we're sending these books out, and people are sending us messages of the progress they're making. With that being said, if you support a group like that, we just sent out 9 books today. If you support a group like that and you have a room of vets, or I don't care who it is, let us know. I will send books for free. I will take care of the shipping so we could keep helping the world here. Okay. And here's one of, my huge awakenings over probably the last decade. Since we have a lot of business owners here, is in order to have a bigger business, just so you know, or a bigger career or more wealth, you have to have a bigger life. The way we say that, and I'm sure a lot of you know it, if you've ever heard this stuff all over, like 10x, 10x, type in 10x in the chat bar. You guys heard it before, right? But what a lot of people aren't sharing with you is that in order to 10x anything, you have to 20x yourself. If you want to improve your relationship, you have to 20x yourself. Because we know, at least I know, most of the conflict, most of the fighting, most of the disagreements, okay, a lot of this is past things, past traumas and past guilt and past shame. If any of you ever dealt with shame or guilt in your relationship, just like put boom in the chat bar. Just put boom in the chat bar, right? Like you're like, oh, I could have did this, I didn't do that. A lot of us can relate to that. So we'll talk about that. And here, you know, a lot of people are in business together, but not aligned in life. And relationships, right? They're not built to be perfect. If they were perfect, they would never expand. They would never grow. Or maybe, I don't know, if you want to say it, you can, but you don't have to. Like a lot of relationships, they're just constantly arguing over everything, right? Or you're on a different page. Or you're not aligned with your future. How many of you in your relationship, one of you have a story of one future and the partner has a completely different story of their future? Type in story in the chat bar. Is that a possibility? You're like, and some of you are like, I'm going there. And the other one's like, I don't even know if I want to go there, right? Or one person's growing and the other is stalled. Or the communication is stagnant, right? And if the communication gets stagnant, have any of you ever or are dealing with resentment of some kind? Have you dealt with resentment before? Like when resentment builds up, what's Ryan looking at? Ryan's like, what? Okay, I'm watching you, Ryan. I'm watching you, man. He's like looking for cues. Like she's already flipped you the finger a couple times. You don't need to see it, man. She's watching you. All right. Or there's no alignment and clarity because it just seems like, hey, you're like doing this and I'm like doing that. And at nighttime, we have like 30 minutes together. And that time we're, you know, our kids are grown up. So, you know, our daughter's 20, our son's 23. But like when they're younger, you get together and it's just like, you got to fix the one kid. The one kid's like, just fell out of the bathtub. The other kid threw up on the carpet. And on top of that, the dog shit on the floor or something. If you can relate, type in relate in the chat bar, right? It's like, and then finally you go to bed, you say a couple words, maybe you're dealing with resentment. And now the next day, here we go. We start all over again. And you think things are okay, but they're not great. I always know this when I ask somebody like, hey, how's your relationship? They go, I got no problems. It's good. I go, the fact you use the word good, I already know there's some issues there. So you might as well like, you know, tell your happy story, your fantasy island story to someone else. But the fact you use the words tell everything, right? And you might even be in survival mode in the relationship because one side or the other is giving up. Have any of you ever got to the point that you felt like giving up, right? And so here's when it was like definitely hectic for us. Just so you know, this is Ryan, this is like what Italians do. They just button up the, you know, you got to let all the hair hang out. I guess that's my stage I was at that time. Now it's probably all gray. So I don't know if it looks the same way. This is me starting an electrical business, right? This is me working young and this is me and my beautiful wife. So like we know the hecticness of business and how do you learn how to improve things, right? You learn how to improve things by hopefully looking at it and saying, well, if someone else has already paved the path, right? In martial arts, do we have any martial arts here? Type in martial arts. They call them sensei. Sensei just means one who went before. That's it. It means let me teach you what I know so you don't have to have the same problems. You don't have to have the same experiences. And then we have made plenty of mistakes, everybody. But we learned along the way. This was, I don't even know what year. It's clearly a long time ago. That's in Disney World. I'm still impressed. When I looked at this the other day, I was like,
That's
my
not
wife
Disney World. That's at the Gator place.
oh, well, you clearly were braver than me because you had that snake around you. And I took the alligator face, like, which wasn't really dangerous because its damn mouth was taped shut. And like, can anybody relate to having a young family and like you're trying to still run the job, but you're trying to hold the baby too? Tell me in the chat bar, like, did that ever happen? Like, the guys call in, you're trying to like, they say I was ordering pizza. Maybe I was. I think I was ordering parts that day. So we know what it's like to manage this hecticness also. And also know what it's like to create a relationship that grows together while growing big companies. Some of you are new in my world, so I'll share it. Some of you have been in my world, so you already know this. But like when you build a $32 million company, which this is my company in New Jersey that I had, 32 million, 200 employees, 165 trucks, double-digit profit, right? When you're building that, I met a lot of people who built big companies at the sacrifice of destroying their relationship. And I don't know, is that worth it in the end? You tell me in the chat bar, like, is it worth it? You had money, but suffering, like, and I watched this over and over again. And then what happened was, as I built that and I sold that in 2017, because I was evolving and I didn't want the service industry to suffer no more, because I started to figure stuff out. But every time I got together with other people in the industry, like I was like, oh, my relationship's great and my company's great. And they're like, oh, good for you, right? I'm getting divorced. My company's stuck. And that's what made me, if you want to know, like, that's what brought me over to start what was called CEO Warrior, right? It was to solve a problem. I didn't need to do CEO Warrior. When you own a $32 million company, you're doing just fine, right? You're not suffering. I didn't need to sell that company. I was already doing great. I did it because I had to stop the suffering somewhere else. And then through that, we started to understand how now the relationships were suffering. I didn't know that so much. I knew the business owner was suffering. I didn't know the relationship. And so here's what I'll say my wife and I figured out together. One, in a relationship for 3 decades. Number 2, doing martial arts for over 3 decades. 3, building a business over 3 decades. My wife and I both have been helping people through mind blocks for over 3 decades. And I've authored 18 books, and mind power, I would say, is like one of the key pivot ones of today. And this is what we're doing now, just so you know, because I want to give you a journey of where you might be heading in the future. Like, some people are building a company, they're trying to help other people, they haven't helped their own relationship. Have you ever noticed that before? Put in noticed in the chat bar. Have you ever noticed that? Like, they're like, I got a company, it's normally dysfunctional. I'm going to help all of you do stuff over here. Like, I'm going to help you either work out, or I'm going to grow I'm going to help you. And then I look at them, I'm like, do you know what you're doing to your relationship? You're just destroying it quicker. So we know we're making a huge impact. If anybody was at this event here, this was called Level Up. It was in September. We did it on the beach. Type in the chat bar if you were there, what it was like. And then we just did another training in New Jersey, which was called Speaker Impact, which these are all about how do you help people break through. And if you notice, you'll see in those pictures, there's a ton of couples that were there, right? There's a ton of couples that were there. And I could tell you, the couples that went there, well, I see Kathy's on here. The couples that went there, I will tell you, and Kathy, you tell me if I'm lying, you call it out. The couples that went together, they improved together, they expanded together. And if we get a chance, I'll tell my story about, maybe I'll tell it right now, Jen, about the, when you had that woman coach, remember?
Oh, yeah.
So guys, let me share this. I'll share it for the guys. So my wife, there was a coach, she was a high level coach. She was like a coach of coaches. She's really, really high level. And Jen came across her somewhere and she decided to do a coaching with this woman. And then what happened was she had a great experience coaching, which I would say, if everybody should be in a world where there's some form of coaching, guidance, insight. because it's too easy to feel alone. Type in alone if you could relate to that, right? I put a post today that said something like, if you want to know freedom, it's hanging out with people that are rooting for you while the other part is talking about you, right? So my wife had a great experience, and then she said, hey, maybe you should do a session with this woman. And Ryan, I was like, I'm going to have this woman coach. I had to put on my big man shoulders, oh yeah, like this. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm sure my wife gave me some things to think about. I was like, well, shit, maybe this does make sense. So I do this coaching with this woman. It's great. She points out things I never knew. And then she said something. She said, hey, your wife said that she wants to go to this training in, was it Arizona, Jen?
Arizona.
And it's 7 days long. Okay. I'm growing a company running like mad. It's 7 days long. So Ryan, guess what? So
we kept putting it off every year.
Yeah. It's 9 days. Those of you that are in business, what can happen if you go away for 9 days? Things can happen. So this woman coach says to me, right? She says, yeah. And I said, well, how am I going to do that? we have young kids, I got the companies growing like mad. And then she said something that was the greatest gift. She said to me, she said, big businessman can't figure this one out. And then I had a quick vision, right, that I would choke her right on my couch in the living room when she said this. I thought I'm taking her out. I'm literally going to armbar this woman. She's like, she said it all she's like, oh, big businessman, can't figure this out. And man, did she play me? I was like, you think I can't figure this out? Oh, we're going, which then we went, right? And we figured it out, and we brought my aunt, and she watched the kids, and it was the life-changing experience. So it's funny, how many of you are letting excuses get in the way of improving your relationship? Type in excuses. Don't be honest with me, be honest with yourself. There's no judgments here. We're just curious, right? I've done it myself. So, and we're at a point now with FuDog Group, we're recognized, Kevin Harrington recognizes us, right? He says we cracked the code. He's the original shark of Shark Tank. Or Jay Abraham, right? He said we're transforming individual enrichment from the inside out. And those of you that are in our world, in the FuDog world, if you think that's true, can you give me a true in the chat bar? And so here's where we're at today. And I will tell you, we're still going through dips and curves on stuff. We're still learning every day with family. But there's one key thing I want you to know about, this is our family. One thing I want you to know about this picture that I love that makes it very powerful for me. It's this right here. Because if that falls apart, everything falls apart. So it's our connection together to constantly keep, we'll probably go for a walk tonight, and we'll talk about this, and we'll talk about, hey, how did it change somebody's life, right? And we learned how to be an amazing team. She did laugh. I don't know if she posted the picture, and I'm sure, Ryan, you never did this. She gave me a basket when we were going away last week, and it had kitchen towels, and she's like, go dump this in the thing in the kitchen that gets the towels. So you know what I did, Ryan? I just put the whole damn basket in that thing. I didn't dump it. I just threw the whole basket in it. So when we got home, she looked and she was like, this basket's hanging out of a basket with the towels. And she's like, are you kidding me? I was like, well, I didn't want to dump them in there, and then you had to take them out to fold them. I just thought I shoved the whole damn thing in there. So but then we laughed about it, right? I don't know if she's laughing now about it, but I got him in there. So,
it was funny.
It was funny.
It was funny.
Is the basket still in there?
The basket is still in there.
Okay, then it's a workable system. She didn't take it out, so it's still there. So we'll post a picture maybe later for you guys. So are you willing to consider new things in your relationship? Type in the chat bar new. Are you willing to consider new things? Because if you're not willing to consider new things, you're going to have one path probably. It's going to have probably a little bit of rockiness, if not a lot of it. And eventually, and I'm going to give you a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to start with strategies right now. I'm going to share, and I'm going to tee up my wife for anything she wants to chime in on this. This is unspoken fears, okay? Many are in a survival mode, and now they're getting hit with like economy, inflation priorities, right? And what gets pushed aside and what doesn't get talked about. Here's today, and Jen, I'm wondering what you think, like in the world, because you help a ton of people too with relationships and health and all kinds of stuff. Like, this is what people are talking about. Do you, right, Jen? You feel it's like shallow, a lot of it?
Oh, yeah.
And this is what they're not talking about, right? So they're talking about, and sometimes the scariest thing is the unspoken. Like, will there be an economic something? Yes. Do you have to worry about it? No. Do you have to communicate with your world about it, your relationship about it? Do you have to be aligned with it? Yes. Right? So it's these unspoken fears that are the ones that bubble up and you're constantly hiding. And then eventually it just comes out. And now it's like an explosion. Have you guys do you have any or had any unspoken fears? And Jen, what are you thinking when you think about unspoken fears? If you could, any examples or something?
Well, I think these fears are real and they're logical fears. To live in it isn't logical because you can't change a lot of it from happening. But what happens, I think, with families, whether you have kids or not, is you have those fears, but you might be pushing them down, right, under there. And then other things come up and you just keep pushing them down there because all these other fears or things that are going on, or you're in survival mode. You watch the news, you fall into these traps of, everybody pitting everybody against each other right now for whatever your belief or non-belief is. And so the important things of your relationship and your family and how you're going to keep your unit together and strong are getting pushed down and pushed down and pushed down. And it's not getting talked about because you're stuck in survival mode.
Yeah. Yeah. And guys, let me talk to you a minute. How many of you have wanted to do something, buy something? Now you're going to get looks, guys, just so you know, if you're there with you're going to get a look. How many of you have wanted to buy something, do something, go somewhere, try something, and you were afraid, even maybe today, about bringing it to your relationship because you didn't quite know how they were going to react? Type in react in the chat bar. Be transparent with me. Like, me too. For years, I was like, man, I really want to go to this training, but like, and then I'm trying to think of a like great story, right? Like maybe if I think of a really good story, like, and then what happens is the relationship turns into trying to sell your partner on an idea.
Well, it turns into a bunch of stories that you make up. And this is something that you did that you're referring to. You would make up stories as if you needed permission or my approval. And nowhere did I ever do anything or say anything that would have you believe that that's what needed to happen. Those are stories you made up in your own head due to your own triggers and your own issues. I was always there and supportive. And I mean, years later, you would come and you would say, and I'd go, when was the last time I said no to something? And it wasn't even about that. And I knew it was, he had the issues.
Yeah.
You make up the stories.
Yeah, everybody type in the chat bar if you're getting, you could put in value if you're getting value from both sides here. Because Ryan, like, guys, for me, it's kind of like, hey, you okay? I fly to like, Las Vegas to go to this training. She's like, yeah, it's okay. And then you're like, are you really okay? It's like, no, I'm okay. It's like, are you sure? Like, am I going to land and you're not going to be okay? Right? Did you ever deal with this shit? And I'm like, I'm going to land. And I'm like, and then I'm going to hear all this chaos and be like, fuck, maybe she's not okay with it. And then like, she could keep telling me. And in the end, everybody, it's the story. And you have to have the relationship where you could be transparent. If you don't know how to bring that to somebody, then you have to say, hey, like, I want to be able to bring anything to you. And maybe you'll understand it, maybe you won't, but can we just like, no matter how weird it is, like if I want to kiss like an elephant's ass, that's just some weird made up thing. But if I want to do it, can you be like, you're an elephant ass kisser? Like, could you just be like, why do you want to kiss an elephant's ass? Which I'm not going to kiss any elephant's ass, Ryan. I'm just bringing a crazy example here, right? But I shouldn't have to be afraid or fearful, because when you're dating in the beginning, you're like all like Thor and shit, right? You're like, I'm gonna do this. And then you get married, you're like a kitty cat. You're like, I don't know, I'm scared of everything. And that's not a great relationship. And I'm sure it could be flipped both sides there. So tell me if there's an action item, right? If there's an action item for you on unspoken fears, what's something that you might take away from this, everybody? Type in the chat bar. Is it be open? Is it set a new guideline? Is it like, hey, does that happen? You can literally look at your relationship and somebody says, and don't do one of these. And I'll talk to the guys and ladies, my wife's going to talk about, but don't be one of these. Hey, does that happen with us? Oh no, I share everything with you. And like, come on, don't, now's your chance. We're giving you permission to go, yeah, sometimes I'm worried about it. And like, I don't want to be worried. So like, how can we work on this together? Right.
And that's creating the safe space, right? That they feel comfortable enough to bring that to you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Strategy number 2, everybody. Strategy number 2, clarity and alignment. This is a key one, right? So sometimes what you have is you are not aligned and you're unclear. Like, hey, I'm going to do something on the weekend. It's like, what are you going to do? I'm going to go somewhere. Well, that's really unclear. We had other stuff to do. So now we're not aligned and we're unclear. Tell me in the chat bar, have you ever been not aligned and unclear? Write whatever you want so I know. And then like, how does that work out when you're not aligned and unclear? What about this? You're very aligned, but you're unclear. You're like, yep, we're both going out this weekend. We're going to go do something. And then Saturday comes and it's 10 a.m. You're already late, wrestled the kids. You're like, where are we going? I don't know. Very unclear, but we're aligned. We're going to do something. Now it's 9 o'clock at night and you end up watching some like 30-year-old movie because there's nothing else to do. And you probably got in an argument because you didn't pay attention to getting dinner. So now you're just all pissed off at each other, right? Because you were aligned, but then you were unclear, and that starts to have a problem. What about this one? Have any of you ever been not aligned, but you've been clear? Has that ever happened? Like we're really clear, like I'm really clear, like I want to go away, I want to go do this. But we're clearly, and this is what it sounds like, everybody, we're not on the same page. We're not on the same page. Have any of you ever felt that way? Like type in the chat, like, I'm really clear, but you're like, yeah, but like you kept it inside your head. I'm not a mind reader. Have any of you ever said that? Isn't it interesting? Like the common, trends in relationships. Like, I'm not a mind reader.
Or,
like you
should have known.
Oh,
or
yeah.
You should know by now.
Oh man, that's a good one. And I will just tell you, I still don't know shit by now. So let's just be, and the stuff I did know, clearly I stuck the basket inside the thing. So like, if you give me more than 3 things, you're going to get one of the 3, but the other 2 are going to like fade away fast. Right. So, but this is the one you want to get to. This is why we're here today, right? How can we get aligned and how can we get clear? Let me share a story for you guys. When my partner, Rob, and I decided we were going to go in business together, we only made that decision. We said this, should we do business together? We talked about it and we go, yeah, we feel good, but we got to go home. Because if our relationships aren't aligned with this, we know it won't work. And that was pretty wise for 1994, 93, being 23 years old. Like that was pretty good. We went Jen said, yeah, like you're going to do this, do this. She's always been amazingly supportive on my side. Rob's wife said, we went in business. But then there was another turning point, right? The next turning point was like, we're going to grow this thing. And like, it's going to take push and effort and focus. And I'm going to have to learn. It's not like today, you guys can learn stuff to grow business like online. Back then, it was like a box, no joke. When I started to learn how to do this, it was a box with VCR tapes in it, VCR tapes, right? So I guess I'm dating myself a little bit there, but we went and we said, well, if we're going to grow this thing and we're going to do it, got to go to our wives again. We went and said, are you on board? They both said yes. Boom, we went. When we started CEO Warrior and I want to do this, we both went and said, if we're going to do this again, when we sold the company. So if my wife said, no, I don't want to do that. Like, I just want you home at 4 o'clock every day. And then I would say, okay, then like, I didn't have the skill set. Today I could see having the skill set. When you know how to do it, you could build it faster, make wealth of money in a lot less time, right? So tell me what your takeaway is from aligned and clear. Aligned and clear. Tell me in the chat bar. And guys, as I get through this, if you have questions, like, why don't you write them on a note and we'll see if we could do some questions on the end. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but tell me in the chat bar if this is solving some things. Write solving in there. Write solving. But Mike, Jen married you for better or worse?
Actually, I did not marry him for better or worse because we wrote our own vows.
Damn straight on that. Yeah, I don't know if I remember them, but do you even remember them?
It was just like we statements.
Yeah, it's like we're going to get aligned and clear as fast as we can. And when one of us is pissed off, the other, one side or the other has to come together. You know, it just happened the other day. We had a little thing. I don't even know what it's about anymore because we forget quick. But then like my wife came over to me, hugged me, and then, you know, it was silly and shit. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, it's over. I think I hold a longer grudge probably than she does. All right, number 3, communication. Okay, communication. Here's the key, everybody. Be curious, not judgmental, right? Like if my wife came to me and she's like, hey, I want to shave my hair and tattoo my head, I'd be like, awesome. Why? She'd be like, because I think it's cool. I want a race car in my head. I'd be like, okay, like, is that what you want? Like, cool, right? Because if she wants something and I go, well, why the fuck are you going to do that? Why are you going to shave your head? Why are you going to do that? Right? Then I'm taking my paradigm of what I think the story should be, which most of the time, people, just so you know, most of the things you want to do and you don't do is because you're concerned about judgment, right? Oh, if I get a tattoo, I still get people who has tattoos. Type in tattoo in the chat bar. I still get people today. They're like, oh, I always wanted to get a tattoo, but like my mom would kill me. I'm like, you're 50. How was she going to kill you? Stab you in your sleep? You're 50. She's old, right? Like, come on now. Like, that's really why you're not doing so. Well, it'd break her heart. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's not going to break her heart, right? So if you could put the judgment aside and be curious, this can help so much more inside your relationship. But doesn't this apply to everything? Type everything in the chat. Doesn't this apply to everything right here? Jen, what would you say about like just general communication and curious and judgmental and stuff?
Oh yeah. How is a relationship or the individual going to grow, either one of you, if you don't have the communication and the comfort of knowing your partner's not going to judge? And there's a difference between, you can still not understand, but you don't have to judge the person. There's things people do that I try to learn and understand because human behavior is really fascinating to me. But it's not to a lot of people, so they don't even take the time to try to understand. And then there's times I still might not understand. But to have your partner feel that, you know, it's going to dim them.
Yeah. And when you create a space for this, just so you guys know, I'll let you again behind the kimono here, Drew. Like sometimes we're in a meeting, it's me, my wife, and Aaron, who's the partner of ours in FuDog Group. And like me and my wife are going at it. And Aaron just sits there in a space of curious, like, holy, I'm sure he's saying like, holy crap. And like my wife and I, I'm like, no, we got to do it. She's like, well, you're not thinking about this. And then normally what happens is I wait a minute. I'm like, I'm not thinking about that, right? Because I'm running so fast that sometimes I don't see the stop sign. Can any of you guys talk to the guys or girls? Can you relate? Like, I didn't even see the stop sign. I stepped over that bitch. Like, I crushed it because I'm moving. She's like, do you know there's another stop sign coming up? I'm like, don't worry about the stop sign. She's like, you're going to kill people this way. I'm like, okay. And then Aaron's just got to sit there in a space like, okay, this is wild. My son, I don't know if is Michael on here? My son's normally like, I'm out of here. He's just like, I'm out. I'm not even
out quick.
He's like, I'm out of here fast, right? And my son's like, I know what's about could happen, so I'm just gonna let Aaron get crushed. And my son's he's an expert on the mind and helping people through this. But this comes back to like, if you just get curious instead of judgmental. All right, what one has been your favorite one so far? 1, 2, 3. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. We got to go to this one next. All right, 3. Great, Steve. Okay, we got 3. Jason Kirby, what's up, brother? 2, 3. Okay. All right, let's go for number 4. Number 4 can change the game in your relationship here. It's wants and it's needs. Okay. And each person in the relationship has a want and each person in the relationship has a need. So I'm going to tell you how I would recommend you do this. And you should do this a couple times a year, but this is a great time because it's right before the new year. You take a sheet of paper and let's say it's me and I write wants and needs and I start writing mine out. And then let's say Jen takes a piece of paper and she writes her wants and needs, right? Now, here's an example, which doesn't apply to me at all because I don't understand.
I was thinking that as soon as I saw it.
I gave it to Aaron as an example, and I'm like, it's a silly example because I don't understand spending a day trying to hit a little ball in a little hole. Like, I don't get that stuff. Plus, I have this thing, I have to master everything I do. So, like, I definitely can't try to hit a little hole in a ball because I'll get consumed and have to own that thing, right? But let's say the one is, I want to golf every single day. Right? But the need is maybe I need to spend quality time with my relationship. Like that's a need, but I don't have to golf every day. Now, let's say I bring this to Jen as an example. Well, first she'd be like, really? You want to start golfing now? But let's say it was my thing. She could turn around and say, oh, so you like golfing that much? You'd like to do it every day? And I would say, yeah, I'd love to golf every day. And then if she's a partner in the relationship, she might say, well, is there a way to get the business to a way that you could do that? Is there a way that we could manage that? Would you like to? Because let's say on her list, it's, I want to travel every week. Then she goes, well, let me ask you a question. Like, would you golf at every place we travel to? It'd be like, hell yeah, like travel, golf. Now we're putting together wants and needs, right? Wants and needs. And this is, I will tell you, this is where it gets a little tricky, everybody, because if you judge the want, so let's say somebody in the couple says, we need a cleaning person in the house. And the other person goes, well, why do you need a cleaning person? Like, can't you just mop the floor? Like, can't you do this? You're not curious. If you said, well, hey, okay, so what would a cleaning person do with us? And it goes, well, I'm going to be able to manage the kids. I'm going to be able to make sure that we could eat healthier food. I'm going to make sure I support you in the company. You go, I could see this is a need. Let's get a damn cleaning person. Let's get it done. Right? So I want, Jen, what do you want to add about wants and needs?
I think you did a great explanation here.
Thank you. I'm feeling good now. All right. Did you get that, everybody?
I'm feeding one of your love languages.
Okay. I already told myself great things about myself before this, so I'm okay. I'm covered.
All right, so then I gotta knock you down a couple notches.
Oh, you will try. You will try. You will try. Okay. So tell me, how many of you know that this might be a great exercise for you to do? Type in wants and needs in the chat bar. Give me a big boom. Like, you know that this makes sense, right? You have to be open. You want it non-judgmental. And this is going to help you guys work together. And the goal is not to tackle all of them, right? Like, someone might say like, hey, I need some space. Like, I need some free time to myself, right? That sounds like that could be a reasonable request, because if someone in the couple doesn't end up with space, they will end up with nonsense inside their life, right? Like, sometimes I just need space to either read or think. If I don't have that, my head's going to explode, because I'm going to want to create something. And if I don't have a place to create, my mind will just fight against itself.
I'll
Okay.
add something here, like,
Yeah.
for each person, you really need to get clear on what each of these things looks like. I mean, the golf every day, that's pretty clear, but the needs, I need to spend quality time with my relationship. What does that actually look like?
Yeah.
Be real clear. That way, when you meet with your partner and you discuss it, you already have a clear vision of what it would look like, which would help them. Because again, a play of words, quality time to Mike and quality time to me can look like two completely different things. So
Yeah.
the chicken soup, right? One likes it one way, one likes it a different way. They're both great chicken soups, but you both have a different idea of what those words actually look like.
Yeah. And here's what happened to us. Jen was talking about a home. This is a long time ago. Did we even have kids? Were probably little, maybe, right? What? But
Yeah,
I was hearing Jen, she wasn't saying it, but I was interpreting that she needed this bigger house. So we start looking at these big houses, you know, which were like 5,000 square feet or whatever, you know, 1.something million, like nice size. Today, that's probably small, but back then we were looking, it was giant. And then at one moment, I don't know if it was in a house or when we left, she says, why the heck are we looking for a bigger house? And I was like, well, I thought you wanted a bigger home. She's like, we're going to fill it with more stuff. It's going to take more work. And I was like, okay, Ryan, just so you know, that probably saved $1 million. So it was a good day. It was a good day. But it was a big lesson. It was a big lesson for me, because I was like, oh man, I was listening, thinking it was a need for her, and it wasn't a need. So we wasted time on it until then we were like, I was like, okay, I need to get clear when she's saying something. And how many, let's talk to the guys a minute. How many of you guys, when you hear your wife saying something, you think like she's saying it that she wants it, but then later you talk about it and she's like, no, I was just expressing myself. It's not like we need that. But I'm confused, because if you say you want it, I'm a hunter, right? Like, I'm going to go hunt. Like, you tell me, get the basket goes in the other basket, right? That's the way it goes. Okay. Okay. Are you guys good? Can we keep going, or you want to stop? Tell me in the chat bar. Are you getting value? Is this helpful? At least am I humoring you a little bit? At least you're getting our entertainment here. So this one's identity. Okay, buckle up for this one. This is really huge in a relationship here, because our identity is the sum of values, beliefs, experiences in a moment in time, and our identities can shift. Now, this causes a gap, okay? So you and your partner fell in love with the identity of each other, right? But has that other person's identity shifted? So let's say this, watch this conflict. Let's say my identity shifts into a wealth creator. But what if my relationship does not take on the identity of least understanding wealth creation? Tell me what can start to happen. Tell me in the chat bar. One's creating wealth and sees this millions or 100 of million, and the other one doesn't understand that identity. Now we got a fist fight here. Now we got problems, right? Now, if you're encouraging, right, the shifts, like I'm encouraging my wife when she's going through her shifts. We had a great exercise last night. We have this great person that we did this mind journey with at 8 o'clock. It was an amazing experience for both of us last night. So look at this, your identities when you first met. Maybe you're young, whatever, however you were. And then you have your identities now. And a lot of times there's a gap between this on how you're growing, how your beliefs did, what you start to think about. But now what you get to do is this, look at this one. What do your identities want to be now? Like part of my wife and I's identity, I feel we're moving into is this adventurer identity. And we have it really nailed down. Like we pick a location and a hotel. We get to the location, Ryan. We spend 2 days at the hotel and then we go, where do we want to go next? Right? We tried the whole like, oh, well, we're going to go here. And then from there, we're going to go here. And then from here. And then all of a sudden you get a curveball and it messes the whole thing up. So we're like taking on this identity of adventurer, right? And then I already know the adventuring will turn into like, hey, everybody, we're going to be in Texas at this place. And if anybody wants to come hang out for a half a day, like we'll do some stuff there, right? So then there's adventurer identity with this serving identity. But we're working on this together. We're identifying this together. And just this last trip we went on, like we learned, like we had an Airbnb, that thing was a big nightmare. We navigated hotels. We learned that. We navigated what kind of hotel, which I don't, okay, someone explain this to me. This place we stayed in, the bathroom has a full glass door, no lock on it.
Swings both ways.
What is it like? Who wants to stay in a hotel? Like my wife needs to see me taking a crap or something through this glass door. Like this is a horrible experience. It's only the second time. Last time we weren't together in it. And I was telling her like, why would someone stay at a hotel with a glass door in the bathroom? Don't stay there. It was Ace or something there. I just don't understand this thing here, but we muscled through it, right? Like, don't go down the hall, right? It was like really Sinesta.
No, it wasn't the Sinesta.
No, the Sinesta was a whole different experience.
It would have been a broken door if it was Sinesta.
Yeah. Sinesta was a whole different experience. All right. So guys, let me go through this and then I have a couple more. So I have an opportunity for some of you. I hope it's cool. I explained it to you right now. If it's cool if I share something I'm really excited about that's coming up, can you type in cool in the chat bar? For some of you, it's going to be an awesome thing. For some of you, maybe not, but let me at least share it. So what if you could create a powerful new identity that would serve you to the next level and then discover how to step into your new identity? We call it unleashing yourself to achieve more freedom and a greater legacy than ever before. Type in legacy if you just know you're hitting that stage where like, you just want to know, like you built this legacy, you built this thing. It's like at your soul, right? It's at your soul. So here's what we have coming up and it's in March. I'm super excited about this. So March 18th and 19th, okay? 18th and 19th, 2023. We have a killer lineup. It's live in person. It's one weekend. Well, you know, my weekends, it's probably like, it's a whole lot of hours in 2 days. And we got myself, I'll be teaching. We got Kevin Harrington, the original shark of Shark Tank will be there. We got Mike Michalowicz will be there, who wrote Profit First, right? We have Mark Evans, who's going to be here. If anybody knows Mark Evans, type in Mark in the chat bar. Super brilliant, understands real estate, business building. We have Aaron, who's on here, is going to be speaking. My wife's going to be speaking. My son's going to be speaking. It's going to be a game changer. And if anybody's ever attended a live event we've done, can you type in what's it like to attend a live event? So this is March 18th and 19th. I want you to mark your calendars. It's in New Jersey. It's in the Bell Building. It's a great facility, 2 million square foot facility. And here's this room. So just so you know, there's only so many seats in this room. Like it says 300, but you really can't fit 300. So it's Like you can't expand this room. So when it's closed out, it's closed out. We can't pull no more space or bolt something on. And here's going to be the cool thing about this training, right? You're going to discover how to overcome your old programming and stories. You're going to find out how to change the channel and create a powerful new identity that serves you next level. Type identity if you know there's another level identity for you. Type identity in there. And then we're going to leave with a step-by-step transformation blueprint. You'll also connect and collaborate with other growth-minded people on a journey of life transformation. This will be the most intense 2 days, fun, game-changing of your life. We already tested that room out once already. It's going to be incredible. So here's what we got. I also did something here that I never did before. And a lot of you that are in my world, you'll know, okay? So there's 3 levels. I'll share the 3 levels real quick. The first one is diamond experience. You guys will tell me at the end of this if you think like it's dialed in, like this is an amazing experience, right? So we're going to give you an additional ticket for your partner or spouse so you guys can grow together. A lot of people are charging for extra tickets. Diamond's going to give you 2. You're going to get 2 full days of training. You're going to get access to all the speaker sessions. You'll get access to open areas to network with each other. We're going to have a workbook for you. We'll have a personalized change the channel blueprint for you that you'll run through. You'll have a diamond access badge. We'll have you sitting right up front because I'll be staring at you every day. You'll get lunches every day. We'll have a separate registration line so you're not jerking around in a line with everyone else. You'll get lunch, a lounge that will have some snacks and drinks in it. You'll get an experience package. You'll get a pre-event online training. Like, guys, we have stacked this. So we are going to shift the earth. Like, we're going to change what they say everything is going to happen next year. It's not happening to you. Like, we are going to change things right now. You'll get a diamond dinner. Okay. We'll spend time together. You'll get early access into the room. You'll meet and greet some of the speakers. And we have One Life training. It's 2 nights a week for 3 weeks. Just so you know, that training was $6,500. It's live. It's not recorded. It's coming up in the end of November. You get that included. So you're going to spend time with us on that. Plus, you're going to get mind power training that's virtual, 2 nights a week for 3 weeks, happens right after the new year. It was $10,000 when we just did it last time. Okay, $10,000. And you're going to get a post-event online training. So afterwards, we could do a recap and make sure where you're going. If you take advantage of this tonight, I'm just telling you, like, it doesn't get any better than this. It's 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 people, mind power, One Life, and partner and spouse and everything there. This is for you being on this webinar. But some of you, maybe you don't want that level of improvement. If you know that this is a no-brainer, can you just type in no-brainer in the chat bar? But hey, some of you, you're not that type of person. It's cool. Let me go through this lightning fast with you. VIP experience will give you another ticket. You'll still get 2 full days. You'll get access to the speaker sessions. You'll get access to open area to network. You'll get the workbook. You'll get the blueprint. You'll get the VIP access badge. You'll get closer seating. I'm not going to be right in your face. You'll be a little bit back, but you'll be closer. You'll get lunches. You'll get a VIP registration line. You'll have a lounge with some snacks and drinks. You'll get a VIP experience package, and you'll get the One Life training. 2 nights a week, 3 weeks, One Life. It was $6,500. You're going to get it. It's virtual. It's convenient. You'll get access to the recordings. You don't get mind power with this, but you'll get One Life, and you can't swap it out. Just so you know, there's no swapperoos here. You can't say, give me mind power. That's a $10,000 training included in the diamond. And pre-event. This here, I will just tell you guys, I feel like we're doing our part with the world. It's $864. Is it a no-brainer? $864. We're doing it because we are going to shift. We're going to change the game. We're doing our part. But there's one more level for some of you that you're just, maybe this is what fits you. Here's the deal. 2 full days of training, access to the speaker sessions, open area, workbook, blueprint, badge, early bird, $432. Okay. If you can't afford 432, you should send me a private message because we got a lot of work to do. All right. You spend 2 days with us. So here's what I want you to do. You can go, here's a little summary page of this. We're going to put a link in the chat bar. It's Personal Growth Trainings 2023. We are getting you early. It's March. We will change the game. We will superhuman you. Okay. If you're interested in this, go in and take advantage of the early bird. It's going to go away. There's only so many seats. We already have seats that are taken. Okay. If it's cool and you feel like there's an opportunity, type in opportunity. I have some more stuff to teach you. If you're ready, tell me, let's do it, and we'll do more. Tell me, let's do it, and we'll do more. All right, let's do it, everybody. So, life by design, strategy number 6. I don't want to say this is the most important because it's not, it's also important. This is what we call our stoplight life wheel system, okay? Stoplight life wheel system. And this here is what we notice is that so many people focus in this career and work at the destruction of everything else, the destruction of everything else. And here's what I learned, everybody. If we focus on the 9/10ths, that career work and that wealth, everything else changes. Now, there's a reason why the 10 is in the middle and not on the outside. Most people 10's on the outside. Write this down, everybody. You cannot change your outside world until you change your inside world. Write it down, please. If you wrote it, write it again, circle it. You cannot change the outside world until you change the inside world. Okay. The event, Tony, is going to be in New Jersey. Okay. A great place called Bellworks. It's going to be awesome. There's hotels all around it. The building's magnificent. It's going to be a blast. Right in New Jersey, you get to visit where we're at. All right. So guys, if you look at this, and this is one of those things that kind of could twist you up a little bit, but you can handle it because you're still on here with me. Your outside world is nothing more than a reflection of your inside world. If you have chaos on the inside, you have chaos on the outside. This is what we call life by design. Life by design. Now, for those of you that see, there's one thing to design a life. And the reason why, just so you know, we built this training called Change the Channel. The reason why we built the training called Change the Channel is because changing the channel is shifting your identity. You can only move and create at the speed of your identity. I know people out there that tell me they've read, well, I shared this. I did a talk earlier today for, man, there was probably like, I don't know, 500 or 600 dance studio owners I did talk for. And I said, and you guys tell me in the chat bar, like, how many of you have read the book Think and Grow Rich? Type in rich in the chat bar, right? Now, I was teaching this thing, and there were 3,000 people there. And Ray, they all raised their hand. They all raised their hand. They all read the book. And then I said, leave your hand up if you're rich or wealthy. 99% of the hands, boom, down, couple hands up. So I started to think, is it the wrong book? It's not the wrong book. The book is great information. And then over decades, it finally clicked for me like this. Now, it didn't click when I sold the first company. It finally clicked after the second company. I started to really understand that identity is the number one thing that holds you back from financial security, from the health that you desire, from the relationship you desire, from the connection you desire. It's identity. That's why we build it. To have a life by design, you have to know what you want and stack it with identity. Write it down, everybody, because I watch people take trainings for decades and decades and go no further, no faster. Now, I know I've helped people move faster because in the last 24 months now, I think there's 3 more coming up before the end of the year. I created like 30 decamillionaires. It's a lot that I've had influence into their world to help them create themselves and then create their company. It's a lot of decamillionaires there, right? So it's life by design. Write this down. When you have a life that every day feels like a vacation, you don't have to go on vacation. When you live a vacation style life by design, you don't have to go on vacation. We have companies, FuDog is, we're helping people, we're building things, we're sharing things. We have a thing called the Freedom Tribe. We have a mastery program. We have resources. We have 14 people on the team, but we're still living our life by design. We have another company where we take equity in companies. We're still living our life by design. I wish I knew this 3 decades ago. It took me over 3 decades to figure it out. Jen, you want to add anything on the life wheel here?
No, you do a great job explaining it. It's, they're all linked together, and you're right. And if it's not career and work, someone might be spending it too much in just one other area, and then it's affecting all the other areas.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes my wife's in one side of the pie, and sometimes I'm in the other, and sometimes we're in the same one together.
And then sometimes I might be in one, say, health, and I'm supporting you in that area because you're putting a lot more focus elsewhere. And that's okay, because I can see that's where your attention is. And so I'll kind of give the support in that area while you're doing that. And then you do the same for me in certain areas. The spirituality, like setting up the call last night we had last night. You took that into control and, made it happen. And I just had to show up, and we had a great experience. So it's, noticing where your partner is in these and where they may be lacking is really helpful.
And this just happened, guys, just before this thing. I was doing a talk to whatever, 600 people, and I'm in the grind, but then we got dinner, and then all of a sudden Jen just went and whipped up a bunch of stuff. She's like, do you care what I do? And I'm like, I will just eat anything, right? And she handled that part because she knew, like, I'm doing this thing and then I got to prepare. I wasn't going to get, so she just jumped right in. But Jen, you always talk about, like, don't wait to meet somebody. What is that you always talk about?
What do you mean, don't wait to meet somebody?
You'll say, like, hey, if someone, if the partner's doing something, like, don't wait, you can go meet them, or you can take the first step. Maybe you don't remember what I'm talking about.
Not specifically.
Okay, that's fine. You have this one phrase you always say.
Is it when we're talking about when people say a relationship is 50-50? Is that what you're referencing?
That's what I'm referencing.
Yeah, that's bullshit story people tell you. There's no such thing as 50-50. There's no such thing as 100% either, because that's the next one people say. It's whatever it needs to be in the moment and what each partner is mindful to give. And that's, again, looking at where one might be lacking in a specific area. So there's times where Mike is 90% and I'm at a 10 because I'm just overwhelmed with something, or something might be going on with me, or health, or whatever it is. And then there's times where he might be so involved in something and I take the 90%, or maybe sometimes it's 60-40, but it's always going to fluctuate. And to think that you're constantly trying to reach a 50-50 or 100-100, I believe is, in my opinion, unrealistic and puts too much pressure on a couple.
Yeah, type in what your takeaway is from that, because what I love about that is trying to think like, hey, I'm doing my part, are you doing yours? Right? It's like, no, we're doing our part. Like, you have to get back, like, we're doing our part together. And if you feel that instead of pointing out what someone's not doing, ask them if there's a supportive way to help there. Like, hey, you're just not keeping up taking garbages out and stuff. Like, instead of making them feel bad and trying to shame, I think a lot of relationships suffer from shaming and guilting. Type in true if you think that's true. Like, oh, you didn't take it out again. Translation, you suck, you're bad, you're no good. right? It's like, yeah, but I was like thinking of this other thing instead of going, hey, I noticed like this garbage thing seems to be like, it just doesn't work out the plan we have. Is there another plan? Like, I'll tell you the plan. I can't believe it.
Always about new strategies, right? Not
Yeah.
condemning the person or making them feel worse. It's okay, whatever strategy we had isn't working. And this goes back to needs, right? The wife's need of not having or the husband's of not having a smelly kitchen or whatever it is, isn't being met. How can we meet this need?
Yeah. And it could be so simple, guys, like at our old house, the house before the beach house where we live now, the dog, right? Who has a dog? Type in dog, right? Like the thing about a dog is it shits and someone's got to pick it up. And even though the kids always tell you when you get the dog, they're like, oh, I'm going to clean up all of it. Someone besides the kids end up picking up the shit. It's normally me picking up the shit. And so like, I am like done with this. And then one day, Martinez, who cuts our lawn for like 10 years, I look over and I say, Martinez, come here. I said, I am so tired of picking up shit. I said, would you do it? So he turns around, he goes, let me see. He talks broken English. So he goes to Pablo or whatever, and he's over there talking to him, and he goes, yeah, Pablo, pick up the shit. I said, I'll pay you whatever. It doesn't matter. He goes, okay, Pablo, come cut the lawn. He picks up the shit. I said, oh my God, Ryan, it's like I went to heaven. It's like I went to heaven. I just had to now figure out how to deal with it when the snow hit the damn ground, right? But it solved. Who would think? I suffered for 10, maybe 7, 8 years. And this guy came, cut the lawn, picked it up. I was like, oh my God, I love this guy. I love this guy. All right, let's keep going. Let's get ready to finish this up. All right, support, not permission. This is a really big one here, guys. Support is freely given when the other person believes in you and trusts that you will make great decisions for the relationship. And permission is granted or not granted when the other person does not believe you can make great decisions on your own. You're looking for support. How can I support you? How can you support me? See, people go to permission when they feel like, oh, you let me down. You didn't do it. First off, not one side ever lets anyone down. It's both sides, right? It's a relationship. And some people don't want to, they don't want to do that in the relationship. That's what I always tell people, like, so look at the training that we extended you, which I hope some of you will take advantage of those specials because it's never going to be there again. And I don't see myself giving away over $17,000, $18,000 worth of training for whatever it was, $2,000 or $3,000 something dollars. I don't plan on doing that again because we do have a big team we got to pay. But on the side, like some people go, oh, I got to go ask my wife. I'm like, how long have you been with your wife? 25 years. And you need to go ask her what? Like my wife doesn't have to come to me and go, oh, I'm going to go ask Mike. Like I don't have to go to, why would we go ask that? Like, if you don't know by now, after 25 years, this relationship's on a breaking point. If that makes sense, type in makes sense in the chat bar. Now I know it's probably a new navigation for some of you guys. You probably got to start to work this because otherwise what happens is one side of the relationship feels like they're on a leash. Have any ever felt like you're on a leash? But if you're with your relationship right now, maybe don't type in leash, but the rest of you type in leash because that might cause a long night. You guys will be sending me hate mail on private messages like, good job, Mike. Been fighting since 3 a.m. Like, don't send me that shit. But that's what happens. One person feels like they're on a leash, like, come here, I tell you what to do. And then one side's like, tell me what to do now. Tell me what to do now. That's never going to last. You know what a midlife crisis is? I'll share with you what a midlife crisis is. It's when one side is tired of living an internal lie or conflict that finally they say no more. That's what's called the midlife crisis. They go, I'm done. I don't care what happens. I'm out of here. Midlife crisis. You could avoid a midlife crisis by working through these things we're teaching you. So you don't have to run and go buy a Corvette, get a leather jacket, get yourself a nice little long chain wallet and start dating a 20-year-old. You won't have to do that unless you're 20, then it would be different, right? But you don't have to go do that. You don't have to, get a Corvette with the top down because you're having a midlife crisis. And it's like, yeah, of course your life feels good. That girl didn't go through pushing out 3 babies and vomit in the middle of the night. Congratulations, everybody, right? That woman or that guy, I guess it could be a guy too, she don't have the fucking war scars, right? Like, so you got to put yourself in that perspective sometimes. I get this and I see it happen. Well, look, almost a decade of working with service business owners, like you could imagine all the things I've experienced. And I say, yeah, of course it's easy. You want to go date someone else. Like, what did they have? No scars. They haven't been through anything. You didn't put them through hell yet. Why don't you look at the relationship and say, what is your part you're not doing? Why don't you write that down, everybody? Like, what's your part that you're not stepping into? All right, here we go. Last reminder for the invitation. I'm going to open it up for just a couple minutes of questions. This has been a blast with you guys. All you got to do is click the link. I don't know how long these, I know that we adjusted it for this training here. So I think it probably goes back off the early bird to regular price inside the system. So if you're going to come and play with us, lock it in. If you want mind power training and you also want One Life training, which both of these are going to change the game forever, then you come and spend 2 days in person with us. Boom. 2023 will be your best year ever. You will be superhuman. You will be aligned. You will have an identity and you will no longer feel broken and shamed and guilted and all that stuff. So let me unshare this. Jen, is there any other thoughts before I open it up for maybe a few questions here that you might have?
No, I'm interested if anybody needs clarity on any of the stuff we went over. I think that would be helpful.
So guys, you probably know how to do the raise the hand. It's down the bottom there. So if you want to raise a hand and you have a question, I always say, like, you have some of our time here. You definitely should ask a question about something with relationships, alignment, something, because you don't always have that time where you could just get it here. And don't be afraid to ask a question. Anybody have one that they want to do? Otherwise, there we go. Mr. Dave Monk, unmute yourself, my friend.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Jen.
Hey.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, so as you guys know, I actually have 2 questions. But as you guys know, I'm about to get married in a few weeks. And so wondering if there's any suggestions of which strategy to start with, or, bang them out really fast. Another question is more kind of asking for a few friends I know that are really challenged in their relationships right now. Like, some of them have kind of come off the rails or hit walls, or are in shattered status. Like, where should someone in a place of brokenness begin?
Yeah, let's do the broken one first, because the other one I think has got so much more to it. I'll share, and then Jen, you can tee it up. I think when you're dealing with broken relationships where they're like, they have so much resistance built in. First off, I think this training could help, and we got some other free trainings they could get. And I feel like the side that feels it's most broken needs to probably maybe support the other relationship. Like, hey, do we want to at least give it a shot? The second thing is, I believe, readings, just being in our world, Dave, I'm a believer, not because it's our world. I just believe things like mind power change it. And if it's the guy, I think you got to take a guy, and I'll talk from a guy's perspective, and Jen could share woman. I think when it comes to a guy, you have to get a guy in an environment where I'm going to call, like, it's around other strong, powerful guys that can literally call out the bullshit. Because what happens is human behavior gets supported by drama, and friends get around other friends and they want to support them. So they don't tell the truth. They just say, hey, like, yeah, she's probably a bitch. She should, back off you. And yeah, you should get out there and, go do your own thing or whatever. So I've been trying to get them into our world with some of our resources. The other thing is, I do think understanding where it could have broke. Love languages are a good part of it. And those of you that don't know love languages, I like the theory. I do know that it doesn't solve things 100%, but it's an awareness. If you don't know what it is, look up 5lovelanguages.com, and it will help you understand, like, if one person is acts of service and the other person complains about doing things, it could cause real conflict in a relationship. Jen, you want to share your thoughts on, like, it's in wit's end?
I think on the woman's side, majority, that doesn't apply to all women, is they want to feel safe, right, in that conversation, and they want to feel support. And I think a lot of times what I've seen and experienced with some women, not all women, is they get together and they have these little, like, parties, conversations where one starts and they all are like bashing on their partners, and that doesn't help anyone, and it's really common. So if they're find themselves in that environment, to look for other women or men for support, because
Yeah.
I really hate that. I never liked that. I've never been a part of that. It exists, and it's just a whole lot of whining, and it doesn't bring them anywhere. It doesn't help them. It doesn't support her. And like Mike was saying, having the man get around stronger men, so he can learn how to support his partner, so she can feel safe for them to have these conversations and start the process. And it's really, they have to get clear. Do they want to move forward? If they do, then getting clear on that, to me, is like the hard step. And then now it's just work.
And Dave, they have to be willing to remove resistance and the story, right? That they have to be willing to step back, and they have to take ownership of their part in it with no blame. See, when you take self-ownership, you could go, yeah, all right, so I wasn't supportive. I could see that now, versus Dave, you weren't this, that, and the other thing. So I always say, try to get them in our world. And the other thing is, like, I'm a big believer in when you're isolated in a total immersion experience, right? I mean, that's what happened for me and Jen. We went to an experience and she wanted to go, and I was like, we were at wit's end. I was like, really? All right, let's do it. And then went, and it changed our relationship forever. Like, from that time forward, it's been a million times better relationship than a decade before. So try to kind of guide them, I think, and you got to hope that one side or the other just didn't quit enough.
And Mike, we talked about that on the last relationship one we did, and I had somebody reach out to me about it, because when you spoke about that and us going and figuring the shit out, and we both in that moment took ownership of our part. Yeah. And it wasn't about, oh, I did this, I was wrong, because you actually came up and said that to me, and I'm like, no, it was me. And then we realized, no, it was both of us, regardless. There's no value, and this is what a lot of therapists, not all therapists, do, is they just want to keep rehashing what was done and not done. I don't think that serves any couple. I believe what was the best thing for us was that we both said, this is us here. We both screwed up. We're both moving forward. And we left all that crap behind us, and we never talked about it. There's no value in it. We knew what we wanted moving forward, not what we didn't want. You've got to focus on what you want, and encouraging couples with that aspect moving forward, I think, is huge.
Yeah. And guys, I see they're putting the link in the chat bar, just so you guys know, if you sign up for, the diamond or the middle level, and you get the one life or the other one. If you miss one of the one life, they are done virtual live like this. If you miss one, it'll be recorded. You could catch up. Let's go to part 2, Dave, which I really love. One thing I will tell you is, from my own experiences, don't treat this new amazing marriage as a transaction, and don't treat it as a business, which is very hard for business-minded humans to not treat their relationship like a business. I'm very business driven, so I'm very operational driven. So that's
And
one
Mike
thing.
has heard a lot over the years, I'm not your business.
Yeah. Yeah. She is all my business, just so you know.
But like,
She's all
it,
my business.
I would have to say, you're treating this like a business. This is different. Knock it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Number two, the wants and needs, like get that stuff. And then number three, my wife never has to wait to be an invitation for me to recognize her in front of a crowd. When we go to a place, everybody knows she's my wife. They know she's my wife really quick. Every training I'm on, they know she's my wife. There's never a confusion in the world that she's my wife, and there should be never a confusion that she is not protected. And a lot of people, I think, in a relationship don't share that level of protection for their partner, right? And so I really making them feel that sense of like, I told my wife, like, because one time she's like, world's going to run out of food. I said, don't worry about it. I will just cut pieces off my arm and feed you. Like, I will eventually cut my whole arm off, sear that sucker. You will not starve. Like, I will take down any human thing. I will take down a whale in the ocean down here if I have to. Like, and she knows that. She's going to be protected to my last breath. And I think that's really important for a relationship to feel that sense of confidence and safety on it. Jen, what would you add for the framing?
Well, I like that you told them to work on the wants and needs.
Yeah.
And again, Dave, it's all about clarity, right? You get clear on your own, she gets clear on her own, come together with it. And then the plan, right? We'll be doing it with Freedom Tribe, the plan moving forward, right? And we do a lot near the end of the year, the plan moving forward, and including your partner in that. You have your own plan moving forward, she'll have hers, and then you have the together plan. And if there's kids involved, what does that look like? And each year revisit it. Me and Mike revisit it every year, and sometimes in the middle of the year, like we just revisited and started this traveling thing. And now a lot of our conversations are, and we've talked about this, but this is where it's really taking off.
Yeah. And Dave, just so you guys know, sometimes that person in the couple, like this type of stuff, they don't want to be on the screen. So we have One Life coming up for you for Freedom Tribe. Like you say, hey, would you do it with me? You don't have to be on the screen. Like, we'll print out the book, you sit off the screen. And then when we go in breaks, we'll talk about it and inviting them in, because sometimes this virtual world freaks people out, sometimes in person, but it doesn't mean they don't have to be included in it. And we've had relationships where people sat off the side, and then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, they're slightly in the camera. Then all of a sudden they're like, man, I didn't know there was a place that I'm not going to be judged, that I can grow. And that's the other thing I would tell you is like getting clear on what relationship growth looks like. All of you on this call should have a relationship growth plan. What does growth look like? Between my wife and Aaron, myself, my son, in our own personal training this year alone, and we're going to a training, it's like $150,000 in our own training as a group of just 4 of us this year, because we know that every year we need to be committed to a growth plan that's going to evolve us, not only together, because we're husband and wife, Aaron's partner and friend, my son is son, and in the business, like we know we have to keep expanding at that. And the last thing is on wedding day, I just remember this like it was yesterday. I told my wife, doesn't matter if it rains, doesn't matter if it's snow, doesn't matter if the building burns down, the cake falls over, the relatives we don't like show up. It's our day. It's just going to be our day. We could pretend no one's even there if we want. And I remember her with her red, sexy little shoes on like it was yesterday. And we had fun with it. So that's the other thing I would say is, Dave, make sure in relationships, if you have something that's quirky, ask them to kind of like, you don't have to embrace it, but don't let them shit on your quirkiness, right? Like I talk to everybody. Like I could be inside, grocery store or Walgreens, and I'm going to talk to I'm the creepy guy talking to you wondering why the hell the crest is like a red box versus a blue box, because I'm like that. So like, if that's your thing, just get that stuff out. Is that helpful? Awesome. We're going to go last question, guys. And type in what was your big takeaway from that, because I want all of you to have, you know, takeaways that are coming, you know, from this. Okay. I want all of you to be, you know, saying, okay, this is great. I'm getting this. This is what I feel. Okay. Ariella, hey.
And Justin.
Hey, guys.
Yeah,
Hi,
hello.
good to
Good
see
to
you
see
guys.
everyone.
Thanks so much for tonight. That was super awesome. Justin and I were excited to get a chance to ask a question. So this month on the 29th, we're celebrating our 9th year being married. And we have a really fun and exciting marriage. It's like exciting and frustrating and frustrating and exciting and
Thanks.
frustrating and then exciting. It's good. It's good. I don't know. We have a lot of fun. But something that we've been noticing lately that we didn't have language for before was the concept of, I'm looking at my notes here, the concept of being aligned but unclear, and also the concept of support, not permission. We're noticing that we ask each other a lot of permission for different things, that we then kind of feel awkward, like, why would you even ask me that? Like, why wouldn't you just do it? But then I do it to him and he does it to me. Like, he just went on a men's retreat and I knew these group of solid men, awesome men. And I know when he's gone before, he's come back more full of energy and excited about life, re-energized for work. I'm like, go as long as you can, like, go for it. That took me a little while to get to that point.
And usually don't say as long as you can.
Yeah,
I get it.
this is a different year. Anyway, I'm growing too. So like, we're growing in that. But my question is, like, what is some verbiage or language that we could use to like start to kind of change and pivot the way we speak, instead of feeling like we have to ask permission? Just kind of, I don't know how to better express my question.
No, I think I get it.
I totally get
Wanna
it.
go, Jen?
Yeah, it's just in the delivery, and it's so Justin going on the thing, hey Ariella, I was thinking of going on this trip. I just want to discuss it with you and get your insight. What do you think about it? What do you think the pros are? What do you think the cons might be? It's just reframing it into a conversation and not the question of permission. In my eyes. Mike, you?
Yeah, I think it's like, if you could go, if I was Justin, I would go, hey, Jen, I'm thinking about going to this retreat. And what I'm looking to get out of this is, I feel like I have some baggage, or I'm feeling like I get disconnected with myself. And I'm wondering, like, does that make sense why I want to go there? Do you see something different? And if she turns around and goes, well, I don't really see that in you, like, would that be better? Or did you maybe look into this? A lot of times Jen's really good for me. She'll say, oh, I see where you want to go to, but like, did you think about looking into this? And I'm like, never thought about looking into this. So now we're on the same team for me to find this solution there. And then the second thing is, like, you guys have so it's like timing wise too, right? Like, we have a bunch of stuff coming up. Like, I'm doing a speaking thing in February, and then we have the March thing, and like, we're constantly coming together, and I'm going like, hey, I want to go to this thing, and what do you think about that? And then some things I just do it. Like last night, I knew by setting that up for both of us, I knew she'd enjoy it. I have a guy that I want to do this specialty training. It's just like, I'll set up a time. It's not like I have to go to her and be like, oh, hey, Jen, is it cool I set up on Thursday night from 9 to 10 to do this training with this guy, Nick? She's just going to be like, what do you got today? And I'll be training. And if she needs to, if we need to go to a store or something, she's going to be like, you got to pick a time. We got to go to a store. I need some support here. Like, is it Tuesday? And I block it out. So just come at it, not permission, but just asking for, like, do you see something I don't see?
Yeah, and when it's time things too, you'll say, hey, I was thinking of doing this at this time or this. Do you have anything going on? Is that, a great 10? Half the time I'm like, I'm not even doing anything at that time. So do whatever you want. Or I'll be trying to schedule something and I'll say, hey, I want to schedule this thing. Give me your schedule. What do you have going on? I want to use this time frame, but I don't want to miss something that you plan. So be aware, I have this. Don't plan things that you know I'm not going to want to miss. So it's just really the communication of, you know, discussing it and just getting feedback, and so you know what each other are up to and what, I mean, that helps build on what you're each thinking about too.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's super valuable. Just the switching the words and verbiage. It goes from that, I don't know.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
terminology is so important, especially as with like our world keeps expanding, right? Especially having you guys, and then we're like constantly, because before it was like, oh, we work together, right? And then we have like our own time, but now it's starting to mesh better, and it's a lot more fun, because before it was like as soon as work got done, I was just like, take off your hat and switch it over. But now we're starting to mesh better in business, which makes it a lot more fun, because now I can go on these things without feeling like I'm stealing away my time from her, you know. So it's been cool to be a part of that, and appreciate it.
And Justin, thinking like when you come back from something, or Ariella, when you come back, the other person is, remember, when someone else is away in a relationship, there's always slight concern, like, are you going to be safe? Then there's like, what if I got to navigate something, you're busy? Then there's like, what if you come back thinking completely different? Right. So there is these unspoken things. But then when Justin comes back, he should consider like, hey, could I share some of these breakthroughs I had? And the other thing is, you might turn around and go, hey, you're going to that, and I kind of like what you're saying while you're going there. Maybe I should be looking for a thing to go so I can settle that. So it's all about good, healthy conversations, no judgments, curiosity.
I love that. Thank you so much.
You guys. Thank you.
Lots of value. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, let's Bruce, we will tackle you guys. You'll be our last question here, so unmute yourself.
Well, Ray's there and Alyssa too.
Oh, Ray, they had, okay. I'll get them too.
Hey, Mike, Jen, really appreciate the time. Caught you with the mousetrap out in Suffolk County about a month ago, which was very, very empowering. Definitely looking forward to the 18th and the 19th. Best takeaway was the little circles of the couple where we were when we said, hi, how are you? Somewhere in the middle of that journey, the little space. But it's all about not what's behind us, but what's in front of us. And the takeaway, at least for me, is we are two different animals, 180 degrees opposite. How do we build that commonality in the future? And the fact that we're sitting here on this call, for me, jazzes me, because I'm the ready, fire, aim guy. And David is a little more of the ready, aim, fire gal, you know, measure. Okay. And I'm like, let's just jump off the cliff. Really looking forward to putting this in the calendar and saying, hey, we're doing this in March. So the question is, between now and then, like, I have mind power in my office. I'm probably more inclined to do so for business purposes, but what nugget would you throw out there for the folks on your call between now and then to plant some seeds in the us mode?
Great question. So first off, good thing you're both not ready, aim, fire, because you guys would be just breaking shit all over the place. So you're in a relationship. It's very, very rare both relationships are exactly the same moving forward. There is a sense of opposites. And that's actually where the gift comes in on it. Because a lot of times I'm ready to jump and Jen's like, you know, maybe there's alligators there, and I stop and I'm like, oh shit, there is an alligator. Maybe I should bring a knife, right? So I think there is that balance. People don't hear it that way. Sometimes, Bruce, they hear it as, hey, maybe you should slow down. And they hear it as, a guy can hear it sometimes as, oh, I'm not competent. You don't trust me. Did I not build things already? They start questioning themselves, and you find out it's actually not the person, it's actually you. What do you do from now till then? And look, guys, I hope, I want to say this with all sincerity. you guys know, like I sold a $32 million company, $40 million company. Like I'm not pushing tickets on you guys. If we're fit to expand you, I'd love to have you. If not, here's what I would tell you. Get the diamond ticket, because the One Life training starts the end of November. It's 2 nights a week for 3 weeks. It is literally designing your life. Then we have mind power training, which the book's amazing, but it's nothing like the mind power course we do. It's 2 nights a week. So that happens after the new year. Then you'll end up in person. So this will keep you right going through. You guys do it together. You'll be unstoppable. It'll be amazing. The results from these trainings are incredible. And there's so many secondary things you guys will see. Like when you're doing the trainings, you're going to notice not only your relationship, you're going to notice the relationship with your community, relationship with your employees, the relationship. Like we now have people, Bruce, which is kind of cool. We have people, and I don't know if, Sherry Willard's on here, like Sherry and Dwayne Willard and Jason Kirby. And these guys have literally brought the trainings and said, hey, I want my son on it. I want my employees on it. I want my family on it. And they're changing the whole dynamic. So that's what I would do for you guys. And I'm honored both of you are here, because everybody on this call, tell me in the chat bar real quick, like how many couples do you know that this would have served them real well if they would just be brave enough just to show up, like just show up. And, if they could feel safe enough, we'll stop the divorce, and the divorce doesn't damage the couple. It damages part of the world. And you guys know that. I know, because I'm from a divorced family. I'm 15 on my own. Like it took a lot of work to break through the Italian father, right? So there was yelling in the house, there was doors breaking, there was screaming. Like that's what my whole framing was like. So we could stop all this. So does that make sense, Bruce, on the journey there?
Yeah, putting little dots between now and then to keep checking in and putting the push-ups out and taking the effort, and both of us getting uncomfortable.
Yes. We'll help you get uncomfortable, both of you. That's fun though. That's
in a supportive environment though.
Yes, with no judgment. So we'll help you connect those dots as you're going. And look, maybe one of the nights of One Life or Mind Power, maybe one of you can make it and the other won't. And it's okay, because one will come on, you'll listen, you'll go, okay, Bruce, like you got to watch the replay of this. I'll watch it again with you. Look, life is total immersion to transformation. Okay, everybody, total immersion to transformation. Everything else expands once you expand personally. Everything expands. Okay, I hope that's helpful, Bruce. I'm excited for both of you guys. All right, Ray, finish us up here. Finish us up. What do you have here?
So I was thinking about identity, and when your kids were little, I know how you said you brought your kids to the job site or whatever.
Yep.
And like I brought my boys today because they're on fall break, and they had a good time. And then like she had a ribbon cutting at her business for the township, and so the work, dad, husband, baseball coach, gymnastics, like and that's what I was just talking about, the balance, right? I remember you'd always talk about employees, their wife, their kids, like you take on all that. And then you were like, you're trying to help everybody else. And then like sometimes the marriage will fall out of whack because I'm so all over the place. So that's what I was like, my identity is like, being a father is very easy. Being the business owner and creating wealth is easy. The marriage is like, for me, I could lose focus because the business is always demanding.
Yeah. So the relationship is always going to be the stake in the ground. It's what they call the North Star, is what the relationship should be, right? But not everybody, it's interesting about kids. What I found out when kids are little, kids actually get bored of you faster than like you get bored of them. Do you ever notice? It's like, you spend time with the kids, like 20 minutes later, they're like, all right, Dad, I'm going to go play a game. Like, what are we doing? It's like, okay, go play the game, right? And so it's an understanding in the relationship. And I found out for me, like there's a time when when I come home, there's a time of support, there's a time of listening, there's a time of sharing, right? There's a couple different brackets. And if you can nail that down, like, hey, okay, and it doesn't always work out because sometimes you get home and there's chaos. I knew when I got home, my wife wasn't looking for a broken down human. She was looking for the Hulk to walk through the door. I needed 15 minutes when I walked through the door. I needed to shower. I needed to go to the bathroom. I needed the kids not to bang on the door when I'm in the bathroom. Out of the bathroom comes the Hulk. And now I'm like, what do you need? You need me to change a diaper, take out garbage, help navigate something. You need to take a break. Like I'm tackling everything. And then we come back together. And then at nighttime, it's like, hey, what's going on? Like, share the chaos, share the great things. And then she would say, and then I would share my chaos and my great things. So it's more of navigating the time. And here's how to look at it. If you shrink, imagine if tomorrow you could only have 2 hours to run your whole company, like no more, because after that, like you'd get unplugged and just lay there on the ground. Like you got only 2 hours. You would say no to a lot of things you're saying yes to. You would optimize a lot of things that get in your way, and you would improve things. We fill the gaps of time because we have time. We think we have this 24 hours a day. So like, you're like 1 more hour, but as time goes on, your fatigue sets in and it slows everything down. So it's an agreement. Like, what do you need when I get home? And what time should we do this together? Right. And you don't need any more time. Like sometimes at nighttime, Jen's like, hey, I'm going to go watch a show or something. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to go build something. I'm going to go read something. I do some kind of training almost every single night. But like, we know each other so well. And if there's a time that it's different, we'll be like, hey, should we go for a walk? So it's ebb and flow, right? And I will tell you that rigidness makes it very difficult. And my wife has taught me a lot of spontaneousness through our life, because she's very like, all of a sudden out of the blue, she's like, hey, let's go walk the dog, right? And I'm in the middle of like building and all kinds of, and I'm like, okay, let's go walk the dog. But I have a webinar I got to do at 4:05, so I got to be back. And we end up on the beach and we walk, and then it's like, okay, like we did our thing together, and now it's like, boom, and I go, and she knows like he's in there, he's going now. And sometimes she's like, can you come here a minute? And I will tell all of you, I don't always go jump up like Peter fucking Pan and be like, yes. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, really? I was just out there with you. Like, I'm like, okay, zen out a minute, go out there. And she's like, look at this thing. And I'm like, oh my God, the printer won't work. Okay. Right. I got it. And then I come back. So look, I'm not perfect, guys. I can roll my fucking eyes like the best of them. But the thing is, I keep gut checking myself, and I'm sure she does the same thing. And we're like, okay, so you got to make your relationship the North Star, guys, because at the end of the day, if that goes away, a lot of this stuff won't mean anything.
Can I add something that was a huge
Yeah.
pivotal change for us too? We started to realize that, he's busy doing his business stuff during the day, and I was doing my stuff, and really, right? And then you're trying to get kids to bed and do like all the things you're saying, right? This one's got dance, this one's got that. And by the time you two come together, it's night. And what happens at night? You're both fucking exhausted, right? How could you not be? And a huge pivotal change in our relationship was when we realized that the benefit of Mike being a business owner was he makes the schedule. And we didn't have to wait till nighttime no more. We would meet up in the middle of the day because he had the power to make those decisions. And instead of putting a job or this or that or whatever nonsense, and the kids were busy and they were doing their things, why not middle of the afternoon, get together, do whatever, have conversations, go have a meal, go to the park, whatever you want to do. Why wait till at night when you're freaking exhausted, and that
Right.
changed our lives.
Yes.
Just changing the time, because we didn't allow, it's not as easy. It's easy to allow all those other distractions late at the end of the day, and then you're both getting worn out and worn down, and it's just so easy. In the middle of the afternoon or early in the morning, whenever it is, it's not as easy to be, you're not run down yet. So it worked for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I'm
Yeah, we're
sorry.
going a minute, long as there's no more questions. I know some of your problem. Ray, in the middle of the afternoon's a perfect time. It's perfect time. There's all kinds of fun stuff you could do in the afternoon. You don't always have to wait for nighttime, everybody. Like, love and fun can happen. Make it happen where it's got to happen, right?
Conversations, everything.
Yeah. All right. We don't want to start getting too deep into that. All of you will be like having sex tonight and stuff, but I love you guys. We super appreciate it. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'm so excited for the journey for all of you. Please share this with other people. We'll post it. Let's change the world by changing the couples and everybody together. So have a great night, everybody. Boom.